Welcome to the Excelsior Health podcast. This is the podcast for busy professionals who are 40 plus, who are looking to prioritize strength training, healthy habits, and a positive environment. So you guys can lose fat, build muscle, and bring out the warrior within. All right. So listen, man, this is our first podcast. This is something that we've been thinking about for years now, but we finally got the courage to do it. So I am your host. This is Coach Cory Fernandez. I'm the owner of Training for Warriors Sauga. Some call me the Beast. This is the beauty right here. Coach Susie, how are you doing, Susie?
I'm doing good.
Are we ready?
Good. We're ready. Let's do it.
All right. So this first podcast episode that we're going to be doing, think of it as an introduction. We want to let everybody know who we are, what we have to offer. So pretty much what we're going to do to start is we're going to just go over some of the expectations that you as a listener can look forward to. And also what we're going to take the time to do is we're going to share our story. Because if we are going to be building a relationship with you, from episode to episode, we want to give you guys reasons on, why you should trust us, why you should even listen to us. All right. So expectation wise, I guess how things are going to go, we really want to make a commitment to be consistent. So for us, we want to do 2 episodes per week. We're going to be starting with probably a Monday, Thursday format. All right. So think of it 30 minutes, you're in your car ride. You're potentially to your car ride to work. Maybe it's to the gym. Maybe it's to this gym, the best one in Mississauga. But either or, you could be listening to this. Or maybe you're someone who's a little bit more visual. We're going to have amazing videos for you guys to check out. Shout out to our boy Vero, who's helping us set this up and giving us all the courage to get this thing going. So super excited. But so we're going to make sure we put this out on Mondays and Thursdays. And then, hey, what should you guys expect? So we are going to do our best within our network to interview what we would say is experts in the field. People that are great coaches, people that are helping other people get amazing results. So I look forward to just interviewing people in my network and exposing it to my audience. Another big reason that we wanted to do this was basically interview our clients, right? Like we have such amazing people that are in our community and getting such amazing results. But it's not so much like people just losing the pounds of fat and building muscle. It's the obstacles that they had to overcome in their life, like the challenges that they've went through. So that's partly one of the most exciting things I want to do this podcast for, is for you guys to meet our clients and for them to share their story. Any other things you think I'm missing?
No, I think that sums it up.
Yeah, and we're going to do our best. Like our style of coaching is, number one, we're going to educate, but we also want to entertain, so we're going to have some fun. We're going to be ourselves on here. So hopefully every time you guys listen to our episode of ours, there's something that you guys can take away and start putting into action. Because I know right now, I've been a coach for almost 13 years now. When I go on Instagram, I get confused with all the information out there and all the stuff that people are saying. Some people try to be polarizing, so they say certain things. And as a marketer myself, it's like, I can understand that. But if I'm the busy professional, the busy parent who's, in their late 30s, 40s, and 50s, and I'm trying to get back on track, it could feel just super overwhelming. So partly what we want to do, guys, is we want to make all the information, we want to break it down to like, what is the simplest things that I got to do so that way I can see results.
Yeah.
All right. So why don't we let them know a little bit about the mission, our mission at Training for Warriors Sauga.
So our number one mission is to save lives and help prepare our warriors for the battle of life. So when people come to our facility, we like to call this place the dojo, right? It's a place of enlightenment. And when people come, you're not just training, but we like to call it a practice, right? Every single session, every single rep is a practice for you to get better. And we're preparing our warriors for the battle of life because, hey, we all know life is tough, right? There's so many different challenges and obstacles and changes that we all go through in our life that we need to physically be stronger, mentally be stronger. So that way, whatever you do inside the dojo, you're prepared for whatever challenges you're ready to face outside of life.
Yeah, and just sorry to cut you off, but like
Yeah.
the battles that people go through. So initially, a lot of the people that come to our facility, and I'm sure a lot of the people that are going to be listening to this, is you're typically going through three things. You've either gained some weight, which you're like, man, how do I get rid of these extra pounds? You got stress in your life, whether it's the busy demands of your career, whether it's, being the leader of your family, or it's just like you not being where you want to be. Right. And last but not least, it's maybe a drop of confidence where you just feel like, man, I know I'm supposed to be living life this way. I know I'm supposed to be at this certain health, but I'm not there.
Mm-hmm.
So when we say save lives, that's what we mean. And a lot of times people will chuckle and they're like, you guys save lives. Like, what do you guys think? You guys are doctors? And to be honest, we think we're just as important, in this program. And that's what we're trying to give that information out there is, if you are more physically fit, if you are, mentally stable, more confident, you're more resilient, if you're more emotionally stable, where you're just more happy, you love other people more, you can have more fun, guess what? You'll be more prepared to take on the challenges of life. And that's what this podcast is really going to be centered around. Me and Susie, I think we had a big transformation, especially during COVID. And I'm sure a lot of people have stories of what they went through.
Yeah.
But at COVID, during that time, so I guess we go back to 2020, 2021, that's when we really discovered, I think, what this program was going to be all about. So before then, we were just kind of really coaching people to, work out, lose body fats, by, tweaking up their nutrition. But during COVID, it really gave us a lot of time to reflect on, man, like, what are the reasons why people succeed in our program?
Mm-hmm.
And something that we came up with after like really studying the people that have gotten results and the results that we produced in our life is we created this tool called the 5 Pillars of Excelsior Health. And through all my kind of studying and all my learning on how to help people transform their health, I really realized that, hey, there's 5 key areas. And pretty much throughout this podcast, guys, you will always see us tap into at least one of these areas, right? Sometimes we might go back and forth, but like we're always going to talk about these specific topics. So number 1 is training and movement. So yes, we are going to talk about how you could properly strength train, how you could do cardio, the benefits of walking. We're going to go deep into that stuff on this podcast. But we believe if you're going to transform your health, you got to do more than just working out, right? So for you, what would be, pillar 2?
Pillar 2 would be positive environment or nutrition habits.
You're already forgetting.
If I'm going in order, I could say all 5, but nutrition.
Yeah, so
the second part.
Nutrition habits, that would be our second pillar, which again, those are 2 things that most people think about when it comes to health. But then again, now some of these other ones, pillar 3 is rest and recovery. So we're going to talk about, hey, sleep routines, how to incorporate meditation, certain prehab exercises that you can do. But even deeper than that, these are the last 2 that most people do not connect to their health and fitness journey. Resilient mindset, and like what Susie already said, is positive environment. Mm-hmm. So we're going to use those topics to always steer the type of information that we're going to give you guys, right? So I guess what we can do now that we've kind of set the expectations, what we'll do now is we'll share, I guess, a little bit of the story of
who we are,
of how we came to kind of be, basically. So how many years now has it been that we've been here?
9 going on 10.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. January 2017.
No, 2016.
2016. Yeah.
So we've been fortunate enough to have Training for Warriors Sauga, which for those of you guys who don't know, that's our facility. We don't really like to say it's a gym. It's what we would call a personal strength training and lifestyle program. All right. So basically we've had this program now for 10 years. But what we always like to say is we were the first students of Training for Warriors. And if we can go back and give you guys a little bit of insight to how, we've developed some of the knowledge and how we've been able to help, I would say probably by now, thousands of people, really make fitness a part of their life, and definitely well into the hundreds, people that have transformed their health, right?
And also even just the relationships, like the friendships, the spouse, like just everything that people build connection when they're at the dojo.
This phone keeps going off. Let me turn this off. All right, so basically, let me rewind you guys back. Let's go back to 2015. All right, so at this time, I was pretty much coming to terms with that I was done with my goals of becoming a professional athlete. So if you had met me, from high school, university, I've always had a set path that I was going to be a football player. And that was just my identity. I just, always played sports. And for me, that was what I was going to do. So at this point, 2015, maybe 2014, it had been about a year and a half, maybe almost close to 2 years of graduating from school. So I was an OUA All-Star at University of Windsor. And these last 2 years was kind of like my last attempt at making it. So I was training part-time, kind of doing my own little side hustle. But then I was also working at Good Life. I worked at LA Fitness, but it was all just to pay for my training to make it professional. So I was doing strength training with another coach. I was doing combine training. I was doing football drills just to give it my last shot. But I remember at this time I had went to my last tryout, and I believe it was with, at the time, it was with Winnipeg Blue Bombers. It was at the hangar. And pretty much after that finish, I kind of realized, like, I don't think I'm going to be a professional athlete. And at that time, I was living in my mom's basement, probably had, actually, I know I had less than, $500 cash to my name. And I was just not knowing what to do next. And my backup plan was to be a teacher, so shout out to all the teachers out there. And I say backup plan because, I wanted to be a professional athlete, but I went to school, kinesiology, all that good stuff. And I had my teacher's degree. So the plan was always to play CFL, retire, be the best gym teacher anybody's ever had, and then impact lives that way and, coach basketball and football. But at that time, it was very difficult to get into the education system as a teacher. So I remember this moment. I'd went on an interview and I was prepped for the interview, did everything. And then basically in the interview, the girl said to me, "Hey, you did an amazing job. Like you're going to hear back from us. You're going to get the job."
Mm-hmm.
And I remember leaving,
I remember that.
going back to my boot camp and telling all my clients. And I didn't have a lot of clients at the time, but like I was running this little boot camp. And I'm like, "Yeah, guys, I passed my interview." And everybody's like, "Yeah, coach, you're going to be a teacher." And I was just excited. That was going to be the next chapter of my life. At least it was already tough for me to let go of football, but that was going to be my profession. And then not too long after that, I don't remember the exact timeline in between, I remember sitting in my mom's brown old couch, just kind of coming probably from a day of just doing the boot camp, and there was mail on the table. And I opened up the mail, and I was like thinking, like, this is like the big congratulations letter, and you're going to get hired as of this date. And it said, "Hey, congratulations. You officially passed your interview. However, we are on a hiring freeze."
Mm-hmm.
And like my heart literally like sunk into my stomach. And it said, if we don't reach out to you by December 31st of this year, then you got to redo the process. And I was literally sitting on that couch. At this time, Susie wasn't living with me. Yeah, we're dating long distance. And it was just really like a point where I'm like, man, I need to do something with my life. Like I need to make a change. And I don't know what it was, but I remember at the time, I don't know what like drove me to pick up the book. I was doing personal training, and there was a book on my friend's desk, and I had picked up the book. It said Warrior Cardio. And I was just looking at the workouts because it reminded me a lot of what I did in university as a football athlete. And I was just in love with the workouts. But the author was this guy named Martin Rooney. And I just started to follow his work. I read the book. I started to do the workouts myself. I started to put on my clients. I started to go on his YouTube channel and look at all the different stuff he was doing. And then it must have been at that time, because I was watching his content, that like, I don't know, like the ad targeted me. And this is around the same time that I'm just sitting there on the couch, lost and confused. But I seen an ad is to get certified by training for Warriors. And because I was just digesting all this content, I'm like, man, like I got my honors degree in kinesiology. Like I'm training people, but like I gotta take this shit seriously. Like I gotta go full time in this if I'm gonna have a chance to do this. So I think I spent $1,000 on the certifications, money that I didn't have at the time. It was an investment. Put it on the credit card, and then I started to dive into the material. And so at this time, I'm like coaching people on the side. I'm going to backyards. I'm doing my boot camp. I think probably about now, I probably had quit Good Life and LA Fitness just as a freelance kind of personal trainer. And the content that I got from that certification, and specifically Martin Rooney and this whole kind of training for Warriors philosophy, it's just started to change the way I was thinking. It started to give me a different way to look at life. So all the adversity that I was going through, all the obstacles, it basically taught me that, hey, man, these are opportunities. These are seeds for your greatness. And as I started to go through this kind of certification in this course, my mind started to change to be like, yo, you know what? You could do this. You could be a full-time coach. You could save lives and really help people. Versus before, it was more just like, hey, I'm just going to give people a workout. I'm just going to be a personal trainer. And, this is a simple way where I can make some money and give people some fun workouts. So as I started to get this content and my whole philosophy started to change, I basically made the decision is like, okay, I'm going to open up a gym. For those of you guys that might not know, opening up a gym is very expensive. It's probably one of the worst businesses that you can do if you want to make lots of money. But I didn't know that at the time. And all I wanted to do was help people, right? So I was renting spaces from different coaches out there. And I remember kind of looking at the guys that I was renting from, and some of them were amazing guys and some of them were not the best. But I remember literally looking at them and saying like, man, if these guys can do it, I can do it too. Like, why can't I do this? So it was that decision that, okay, this is what we're going to do next. We failed at being a professional athlete. We're not good enough to be a teacher. We got rejected in our interviews. But now we're going to try with this whole new training for Warriors philosophy, we're going to pursue opening a gym. So the first thing that I wanted to do is I wanted to open with somebody. So the guy that I was going to open with, he was a great person. I would train with him. He was about 15 years, 20 years older than me, and he was way more experienced. And I started to obsess and like literally write down, how the gym was going to look and visualize it. I started to do all my research about the cost of equipment. And I remember I set up a meeting with him, and we were to meet at Starbucks. And, I came with all my notes, and I was so excited. And I was like, man, this is what I think. This is what we're going to do. And then he kind of stopped me, and he was just like, I don't think I'm ready to do this. I think I want to stay at the gym because he already owned the gym with somebody else. I think I'm going to stay here. And like, why don't you just join like with us? And I was like, hell no. Like I can't do that. Like, it's just not because he was a bad guy, just it wasn't the right situation. Right. So now I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, how the hell am I going to do this on my own? Like, I don't know what to do on my own. And how am I going to afford this? Because at the time, I'm $40,000 in debt in student loan. Even though I had gotten scholarship money, it wasn't enough. So I'm $40,000 in debt, and I'm running the numbers, and it's like, man, this is going to cost me at least $40,000 if I have a chance to open up a decent gym. So that's when my sugar mama came into the situation. Are you crying?
A little bit.
But basically, at this time, I was trying to figure out, hey, how are we gonna do this? So I had $10,000 line of credit that I don't even know how I got the $10,000 line of credit because I had no money, but that's what I had. And then I went to talk to my uncles, which for those of you guys that might not know, like I grew up from a single mom. Money wasn't something that somebody could pass me around, $20K, $50K, $100K to basically start a business. So I was able to convince my two uncles to lend me $5K each right? So now I'm at 20K, but then I went to my girlfriend, my long distance girlfriend at the time. We had been together probably,
Maybe like 2 years,
no,
3 years.
more than that. 2010, 2004, probably like we've been together like 4 years
Yeah.
at the time. Sometime booty call.
We were counting the first year? Okay.
But yeah, basically 5 years, 4 years, whatever it is. But yeah, so even a question that I would ask you right now is, so what Susie ended up doing is she took out a line of credit for 20K because she worked at the bank. She was able to get a little bit more and trusted me with that 20K. So I had 40K to start this coaching business in this gym. So one question that I have for you is, what was it that made you trust me to basically
Just letting you
take the 20K and that I was going to be able to pay you back or even make this thing work?
To be honest, I think at that time, I wasn't thinking about the finance of, is Cory actually going to pay me back? That was never a question to be like, oh, let him sign something to say that he's going to pay me back. Who even knows if we're going to be together next year or not? I think it was just the love that I had for you. And when you love someone, you trust them that they're making the right decision, that no matter what, if they're passionate about what they're about to do with this money, just let them do it and let the rest solve itself. So I think my answer would just be the trust that I have for you, the love that I have for you, and the passion that you sold me on what you were going to do with it. And the rest will just figure out itself.
So at that time, it was just like, it probably was the enthusiasm from what I was getting from like the whole, everything that I was learning from the whole training for Warriors.
Yeah.
Like I was just projecting that to you and it just made you believe in it?
I believed not just in that, but just in you. If it wasn't a gym, if it was a bakery, whatever you wanted to do, I think it was just in you as a person.
So yeah, so that's, well, I appreciate that.
And I think more though, I think I'm just getting emotional because hearing you speak through your journey, I was able to be a part of it and witness it. And, you know, this is our first episode and I'm just so proud that we're even sitting here right now.
Yes.
So,
and even within like,
when you guys get to know me more, you guys will see that I'm an emotional person.
You might see her cry at least
every
other episode, especially when we have our interviews with our students. Definitely. But yeah, even within, you know, what I'm trying to somewhat do my best to paraphrase, there was tons of ups and downs in there of, you know, even finding a place and getting rejected because we had no money and nobody knew who we were. But back to that point is, hey, we started with absolutely nothing, 40K in debt of student loans, 40,000 to just start this thing that we had no idea what we were doing. But the reason why I share that aspect of the story is when you have the right values and when you have the right people around you. And another thing I would say, if you have an emotional reason why, then you will figure out how. Mm-hmm. And that's exactly what I had. I had this amazing community training for Warriors where there was other people around the world that I saw that they were helping other people. They were starting a business. I had a mentor in Martin Rooney who was my coach, who was teaching me how to be a transformational coach. I had my girl who was in my corner that was pushing me to keep going, to keep doing this. But I had a mission. Is I was so broke, I was so beaten up, I was so hurt. I was at my lowest point ever. And it was just like, man, I had to change my life. So going through that like absolute rock bottom, but then taking that step was one of the best, lessons in my life. Because maybe you at home, you're not, you know, in $80,000 in debt, but maybe you're at rock bottom. You know, maybe your relationship, you're about to get through a divorce. You know, maybe
your
you had
relationship with yourself.
Your relationship with yourself. You're at an all-time low. You lost your career and you don't know where you're at. That's what transformation is all about. It's essentially, you got to go through the bottom, that setback, and we got to turn it into a comeback, right? So yeah. I guess going forward with the story, I'm kind of losing track where we were is, you know, we started this place with $80,000, not knowing anything that what we were doing, but what we did know is we knew we wanted to save lives. And we knew we wanted to help people, we wanted to love people, and we wanted to coach people. And that was in 2016 when we opened the doors. And then, hey, man, fast forward 4 years later in 2020, we had a wildly successful business with, over 200 members. But then COVID happened.
Yep.
Right. And during COVID, that's when everything changed for the world, but that really affected the fitness industry. But again, thankfully, we had this amazing Training for Warriors network, but also thankfully, me and Susie put in a lot of hours and a lot of work to really figure out what we wanted to do. And we were super clear with our mission of Training for Warriors. So I look back at COVID, and that could have been another chapter where we got completely wiped out, because there was times where literally losing $7,000 a month, just out the door. Members gone, understandably, because I don't want to do online training. I don't want to come to the dojo. I don't want to get COVID.
Losing employees,
right? Like crazy times. But I look at those times, and that's what helped us build our transformation system, because even though some of those things that we were going through didn't have to do with fitness, they had to do with resilient mindset, right? Positive environment. So a lot of these challenges that we've gone through as business owners and parents, we've been able to use those experiences to help relate it to our clients' journeys, right? And even during COVID, I think for us, part of what made us better coaches is just that time of like really understanding that, hey, working out isn't everything. It's the lifestyle. We started, I don't even know what we used to do before.
No, we started walking more, being outside, because nothing else would be open.
Right.
So, that was a blessing, and spending more time as a family.
Yep. Family dinners, family hikes. But yeah, like that was maybe one day I could get my story a little bit more clear, but that was our story of where we came to now, where, 10 years later, even from COVID to now, we've doubled our business, and we're helping people at a higher level. We're already doing such a great job in 2020, but now we're really, really building better relationships and really helping people make a big change in their life. So that's a little bit of, I guess, my story as a coach, and, how Susie trusted me and how we've grown to where we are now. And, the other thing that we're super passionate about is the people that have worked for us. Because it definitely hasn't just been us two. We've attracted amazing people that have come through this program, and they've left, and we've kept amazing people. So those are other things we're super proud of. But maybe for you, as that's kind of been a little bit more of my side of things.
Yeah.
For you as a busy mom, maybe give a little bit insight into your own transformation.
I think, so like Cory mentioned, we were doing long distance for a few years, but to take this relationship serious and to make the business work together, we had to be together. So I moved from Windsor with my daughter, Carmela. You guys will meet her. She's Coach Carms, everyone's favorite coach, AKA. But she's amazing, right? So I came here, having no family, no friends, not knowing what to expect. The only person I had was Cory, right? My heart. So, when you're in love, you just trust yourself, and you have that belief and that support that, if we have each other, we could go through any challenge and adversity. So in 2016, I got a job at CIBC as a manager, because I was already working at the bank in Windsor, but I got a promotion. And what Cory didn't mention was, during my pregnancy with Easton, my second child, I actually got, I lost my job, because everything in the bank industry went mobile. So, they got rid of the tellers, which, I was in charge of the tellers. So then I had no job. And then in 2020.
Or even if we go back, that was like in the first kind of year of our business, right? So like I opened the gym in January. She got the job and then made the commitment, because I don't think you trusted me enough to come without a job.
Yeah.
But she
of course, I wanted to be independent too.
She came in April of 2016. She got that job working for CIBC. And then think about it, like a year later, by 2017, she was now pregnant. But when you were pregnant, that's when you lost the job.
Yes. When I was like maybe 8 months pregnant It was about 8 months pregnant.
Yeah.
So that was, I was going through an emotional wreck and, don't know what to do. And I remember Cory always convincing like, okay, this is your opportunity. This is a sign. Come be full time. And not that I didn't want to be full time. I just kind of wanted to be more independent and have my own income and have my own type of career, I guess, because I wasn't like a fitness junkie where, fitness was my passion at first. And then I got the opportunity. I worked at Air Canada. So I was basically, the HR there. But in 2020, when COVID hit, again, pregnant with, my third child, I lost my job because of COVID. And then I'm like, okay, this is the second time, another adversity, another challenge. And this is the time that I'm like, you know what? I want to spend more time with my partner. Now I've been training. Now I've seen how much of an impact that we're able to make a difference on people's lives. I'm going to be more full-time and invest my time all into TFW Sauga. So even though you go through different challenges in your life, everything happens for a lesson, and it is an opportunity for a comeback, for more doors to open up. So now, this is where we spend 7 days of our time.
I don't know about 7 days, but
I do. I'm here 7 days.
By choice.
By choice. Yeah, by choice.
But even
because I love it so much.
I think even as we're thinking about it too, is like, because we say we're the first students, like even when she got pregnant with our Easton, this is 2017, 18 months into being here, that's where I think she really became a true student, is during that comeback. Yeah. Because she had her daughter at 17, yeah, right? So now to get pregnant, what were we, 30?
No.
With Easton?
With Easton?
Yeah, 30.
God, I'm
29, 30.
I'm 30. Yeah, 29.
Yeah.
29.
So that's where she had to truly become a student of this program and go through that transformation process. And like, her results were unbelievable by working the things that we're going to teach about in this podcast, about how to do proper strength training, your nutrition habits, the proper recovery. But like what we're saying is these mindset strategies that we've learned from like the whole Training for Warriors system.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that was a crazy transformation. And then again, during COVID, when we had Riley, that was even better transformation. So a lot of what we are going to share with you guys on this podcast, it's stories of our personal lives. So that way you guys can kind of connect it to your personal life, things you go through. But then it's also a lot of the strategies, the tactics, the real life things that we discuss with our clients on an everyday basis.
And I would add in, like, we're just real people trying to make a difference in real people's lives, like you guys. And Cory mentioned both times, like when I was pregnant with Easton and Riley, I've trained up until the very end and was able to continue putting my health a priority. And you guys get to experience, because now I'm pregnant now with my fourth child. So you guys get to ride and be on this journey with me and see, how the process is being a mom, being pregnant, training, being a coach, and managing, 3 kids, and then having this fourth one. And you guys get to see that second transformation, or the fourth transformation that I'm about to experience. So super excited for you guys to be a part of that journey.
And that's why I think like the whole Excelsior Health podcast is going to be beneficial for you as a listener, is because we're real coaches. We're not podcasters that are like, man, let's talk about fitness. Like, this is what we've been doing for over a decade, is like literally us maintaining a very elite level of health, but then it's like coaching other people to do this. So hopefully you guys can see from different buckets we can speak to you, is like, man, if you are the busy professional who you're very career oriented, or like, man, you're an entrepreneur, you run a business, we can speak to that. We know the struggles of being business owners and trying to manage your health and your fitness. Yeah. But then also, hey, if you're a mom, if you're a dad, we understand like the pressures of kind of feeling, I don't know what's the word.
Overwhelmed. Stress. Time management. There's so many words.
Oh, what's the word I'm looking for? Guilty. I mean, you feel guilty sometimes, like, hey, I'm going to go to the gym. I need this time for myself. I got to go for a walk, when there's so many things maybe you got to do in the house. There's so many things you got to do with your kids. So there's that essence of it as well, right? we're in our late 30s. So we're not 22-year-olds telling you, hey, no, you got to make time for this. You got to make time for that. I was like, no, we understand the commitments because we have a family. So that's what I want you guys, hopefully from hearing a little bit of our story, giving you guys the expectation of what this podcast is going to be about. Hopefully this excites you guys to want to go on this ride with us in this journey. And the last thing I guess maybe we can end off with is the word Excelsior. So I chose the Excelsior Health podcast because I created this tool called the 5 Pillars of Excelsior Health. But Excelsior to me is one of my most deepest favorite core values. And I want to reflect my life off of this. And I want my students to kind of model that too. It's just basically Excelsior means chasing excellence. Like there's no such thing as us being perfect. Me and Susie are not perfect by any means when it comes to health and fitness. But our attitude is we're trying to chase excellence, right? So if we go out there and strive for excellence on a day-to-day basis, some things that we're maybe crap at right now, maybe it makes it fall at good. Then eventually makes us fall at better. Then eventually makes us fall at great. And then maybe with a lot of hard work, a lot of consistency, a lot of dedication, maybe we could be Excelsior in certain standards of our life. So that's our goal, guys, is to help you raise the standards in your training and movement, your nutrition habits, your rest and recovery, your resilient mindset, and your positive environment. And the main results that we want to help busy professionals and busy parents accomplish is, one, we want you guys to lose body fat, because we know if you lose some body fat, you're going to feel more confident with your physique. Number 2 is we want you to build physical strength. There's a reason why our whole service is based around strength training, because we know if you build physical strength, you can then build muscle. And muscle is just attached to longevity. But not only is it just about longevity and the way you look and protecting your body, I think when you invest in strength training, it's this avenue to relieve stress. And the world we live in right now, or the area we live in Mississauga, Toronto, this greater Toronto area, it's fast paced, it's stress. You're constantly on the go. What do I got to do next? What I got to do here? And I truly believe is people that are not using strength training, they're missing out on this whole opportunity to just better manage stress. Mm-hmm. So that's number 2. And then number 3 is, hey, we want to help people just look at their environment and create a better environment. So that can mean it's your social circle. It's the people you spend time with. That impacts your health, right? It's your actual physical environment, right? The way you set up your house, the way you set up your routines and rituals, your training environment, right? Because if you have a positive environment, the likelihood that you build this sustainable, healthy lifestyle, it's gonna be increased, right? So I probably can keep going on forever. You think that's good?
Yeah.
And then, hey, you know what? The last thing that we'll end off with, because some of you guys know what training for warriors means, is just the whole warrior mentality, that we're going to talk a lot about on this lifestyle. So when we say bring out the warrior within, once you've transformed all those results I just talked about, to us, what that means is now you live life at your full potential. So, man, you want to go after your career change, you want to start the business, you feel a little bit more confident to do that because you put in the work and you know how it is to transform your body and your habits. Mm-hmm. You want to improve your relationship. You're like, man, we're not as intimate as we used to be. We lost our fire, because we want people to live life at their full potential. Man, be attracted to your spouse, be engaged. If you're single, it's having the confidence to go attract the partner that you want or that you deserve.
Yeah.
Right. And then it's just living life, man, going on vacation and enjoying vacation, going on the beach and not being insecure, going on those hikes and not feeling worried that you can't physically do what's necessary. Mm-hmm. So that's what we mean when we say bringing out the warrior within. And then the last part about warrior is just life is tough. It's a battle. It's challenging. There's adversities that we're going to go through, like you guys heard in our story, and I'm sure you have your own stories too. But we just really believe if you are someone who's physically fit, mentally fit, and emotionally fit, you're more equipped to go take on the battle of life.
Actually, you know what you should end with? Because we're talking about our brand in TFW is, the logo, what that represents and where it comes from.
Yeah, I mean, it's the Coliseum, right? So the Coliseum, it's obviously gladiators, it's where people fought to the death, right? And, we're not going to train you to fight to the death, but it's just basically saying is like, hey, the world is an arena, right? We want you guys to step in that arena and be prepared to fight for what matters for you. And again, like I said, is if you are more physically fit, if you are healthy, you have the right habits and the right routines, you're going to put yourself in a position to succeed. So we honestly look forward to discovering how to be proper podcasters. But I think we did a good start today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed a little bit of our story. And, we just want you guys to trust us, learn from us. And part of it is, hey, we just want to help people out there so that they can see results. And I know from my own experience, I'm someone who loves listening to podcasts. It's over time as I've built trust in the person I'm listening to. I often go to their events, I buy their books. So we're hoping that, hey, people that we provide value to, maybe it makes it easier for them to come check out what we have here at Training for Warriors Sauga.
And I would say one thing for sure is we're going to be real. We're going to be authentic. So you guys will see who we are. So that way, when you guys do meet us, it's like we've already met.
All right. So that's episode 1. It's, hey, what to expect and a little bit about the origin story of TFW Sauga and what you guys are going to get from the Excelsior Health podcast.
Should we do it?
Coach Cory signing out.
Coach Susie, be
Peace.